You said that, you were never an athlete and now you've conquered one of the most grueling races in the world.
The Marathon Des Sables. It is one of the world's hottest and most grueling endurance races.
Why is it the most grueling race on the planet?
It is a lot for a person to deal with. I like to call MDS is like the bare minimum race. But coming down like this, like big drop was scary. So they tie a rope and you have to hold the rope and then you go down. Now imagine you're going down.
And you're going
you
down
have
forward.
walking sticks.
Yeah.
You have a bag on you. And then you have the mat on which you sleep, which is to the bag. So you're standing and there is like a steep, it's a drop. As I'm scared, I'm trying to drag my feet in through the sand. And the next thing I know, I hit my leg on a big boulder inside. MDS did have history of someone dying many years ago. I think the toughest part of the Marathon Des Sables preparation was the food.
Mahasweta Ghosh, one of the first Indian women to conquer the Marathon Des Sables. With more than 50 races completed, she is not only a successful runner, but also a corporate leader, inspiring thousands of Indians with her remarkable ability to balance both worlds.
Why did you become a marathon runner? So Sweta, thank you for coming on my podcast. It's a pleasure to have you today over here. Everyone knows you as a runner, but let's start at the beginning. Were you always a runner? Did you have this thing that you were running marathons in school? What's your story?
So Ryan, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure and delight to be here and part of your podcast. Never thought I'm going to be here 5 years ago, but something I did that got me here, so I'm super happy. To going back on how my life was, I forget running. I never ever was even into sports. I'm born to a traditional Bengali family where focus was in education, music, painting. The only complaint my parents ever got from school was I was never into any kind of sport. So that's my background. And I think I continued being that person till I became so fat and I just didn't know what to do. And then I took to fitness as a rescue mission to get rid of it. And you know those numbers. I was 78 kgs in early 2000, pretty much in Bangalore, studying in college. And I remember that at one point I was not able to fit into any clothes that I had. And every month I would have to go and buy new clothes and I had to ask my dad.
This was the engineer you.
Yes, this was the engineer me.
And you're just out of college and
I was in early
years.
20s. I was still in college and I was in early 20s. And I had to just ask my dad for extra money every month because I had to go and buy newer clothes. And of course with that, I was also being very sick. I got PCOS and PCOD, whatever, and gastric issues, in and out of the doctor all the time. And at some point, I think I just had this moment of breakdown, meltdown, as you would call it in today's terminology. I said, I cannot live like this. My confidence was rock bottom. I think if in today's situation you would evaluate it, I was borderline a case of depression because I was so fat. I only used to wear a certain kind of clothes because I didn't know what to wear. And I think that was the turning point when I first started into a weight loss regime. And the only fitness activity I could get to doing was walking. So I walked, and in 3 months, of course, I did try to work on my nutrition and my food habit rather. Of course, then it was called dieting and there was no concept of nutrition. So I got into the traditional dieting model and I lost weight. And then I joined a gym. And then I continued that journey because I didn't want to go back to being 78 kgs. So I was into gym and I decently managed to do my dieting borderline.
And you reached what, about 65
And I reached
kgs?
about 64, 65 kgs. And I sustained that till 2012 when someone literally borderline, he's the dearest friend, coerced me to get into running, saying that, oh, you're strong because you do gym and you should start running. So that's my background.
So why did you become a marathon runner? I mean, like you said, somebody coerced you to become a runner. What was your story on that? Like the nasha hit you on day one, or it took a few months to get there?
It's funny, that I used to work in Wipro, and then Wipro used to have this run called the Spirit of Wipro Run. And
Also, you used to work for Wipro.
I used to be working
And they
for
had a
Wipro
run.
at that time, and they have a run. They still have it. It's one of the, I think it's in the Guinness record or something, saying that all locations within 24 hours, some country is doing that run worldwide. And so that's their USP. And that was the run I registered for. And the first ever time, we just signed up straight up for 21.1K. Then I called this friend. I said, okay, now that you've got
You signed up for 21.1 and you were only walking and gymming.
I had only done gymming, and I by borderline hated running, if I may say. I thought it's extremely boring. And the only running I would do is like those 20 minutes before my gym training on the treadmill, which I really, really would find an excuse
Not
into,
to do
like,
it.
you know, not to do it. Absolutely had no, I said, okay, you know, and the funnier part is that his wife was my then boss. So I said, well, you know what, one time I'll just do this and get rid of it, and then never again in my life. And then I called him and I said, okay, now I've signed up, tell me how to train. And I broadly had like 3 months. So he told, okay, 2 days you continue running on the gym, and 1 day you go out and run in wherever I was staying. And that's what I did. And then I went to the race day. I had no experience of what it means. You don't know hydration, nutrition, nothing. And I thought I'm going to be the last person. Everybody would have left by the time I came. I came back, and then somebody came running and said, Madam, runner up. I said, what runner up? I mean, I would have come last. Everybody would have left. So the first ever half I did was in 2:15, which is by the number game is a pretty good number even today. So that was like my first trigger saying, oh, you know what? This isn't bad. I can try.
You got the nasha.
I got the kick
nasha
saying,
off,
and
yeah.
so I was the second runner-up. So I was like, okay, maybe next year I can either come first or be the second runner-up. And then, so I continued doing that, only with that goal that, okay, next year I'm going to so I suddenly found myself putting up into a goal to do it. I think that just kicked in, saying in the very first race, I enjoy the flavor of what it does. You get a medal. It's like, you know, somebody told very interestingly that this is one race where you don't have to win to get a medal. It's like instant gratification. Never thought of it like that. I have a wall full of medals. You've seen it. So I thought that was rather amazing to start with. And then the rest is history.
So, you know, marathon, half marathon, runners-up position, a full marathon is what distance? 42.2.
42.2.
That's a long distance, okay? But even driving a car, that distance, like we live in the city of Bangalore, okay? And you're visiting me today, and average speed in Bangalore is 15 kilometers per hour. So if I sit in a car, I'm actually taking almost 3 hours to reach there, and you would actually run faster than that in most marathon paces. So people are now setting themselves up to do 5K, 10K. 21, which is the half, and the full marathon. What has been your most... Let me ask you this. How many marathons have you run so far, approximately? Would you have crossed 100 marathons by now?
Yeah, if I add all distances across, yes. But if I say only the full distance, which is the 42.2, I think I just did my 18th in Mumbai.
Wonderful. And in all of them, whatever, irrespective distance, which has been your most memorable marathon? Or most memorable run?
I think Jerusalem Marathon stays my most memorable marathon ever.
Why so?
For many reasons.
Because the distance is same for most marathons, right?
Of course. So it's my first international marathon.
Okay.
And
how did you land in Jerusalem of all places?
Very funny.
Most people do London or Boston or Chicago. I mean, you have to qualify to get in. So, what was the logic behind?
I think I have a really bad set of friends. So this another.
I hope they're not listening to this podcast.
I hope they're listening to this because this friend of mine said, "Oh, we should do Jerusalem because Jerusalem is known as the highest marathon in the marathon distance worldwide." Because it's extreme high elevations because of the terrain that it is. And it makes you run through the city. So this friend said, oh, we should do Jerusalem. I'm going to do Jerusalem Marathon and this and that. I said, well, okay, let me also sign up. And I'm very diligent. When I say something, then I say something. It's not like I just don't say it for the heck of it. So I said, and next thing I know, I've registered and then I've applied for visa and I have visa and everything. And then I called and I said, have you signed up? He's like, oh, no, I'm still thinking. I'm like, excuse me.
So the friend who's convinced everyone to go to Jerusalem has not signed up.
Yeah, he's not signed up.
But you've already got your tickets
I
and
have
everything.
gotten my tickets. Everything is said. I am going. I said, okay, then I'm going. So,
So did that friend sign up?
No.
Okay.
So
We're going to find that friend and shoot him.
yeah, I mean, I was like, I will never forgive you for like. So I went to Jerusalem all by myself, and I did this run. Now, why it is my favorite is that there was the first time in an Airbnb I actually stayed with a Jewish family, and I still have such fond memories of that place where I stayed. Second interesting thing, Jerusalem shuts down the city on the day of the race. And then shuts down literally, like because you cannot get taxi, nothing. And I was staying obviously in an Airbnb, which is in a residential area, and I had to go to this park where the run starts. So, and I had pre-booked a taxi. So the taxi said, yeah, we're going to come and all of that. Called him in early morning, getting ready to leave, waiting to come. Yeah, coming. I'm going and waiting down. And I never carry my phone, and I'm all alone. So where am I going to leave my bag and phone and all that? So no phone. I go then after he's not come. I'm like, my heart rate's really racing already. And then at some point he says, no, the city is closed, I can't come. And I'm like, oh shucks. It's like 7 kilometers from where I'm staying is the start line.
So you have to do a pre-warm-up run of 7 kilometers.
Yes. So then I said, okay, whatever. I saw the map and I said, okay, this is broadly in which direction I have to go. Rest I'm going to ask whoever is on the way to the start point. I will reach 7 km. I have enough time. I will run into the start line. Run to the start line. That's the start of my first international marathon. So I went, I started running. Then I saw some cops. I pleaded the cops saying, can you please drop me to the start line? The cops called their boss and said, oh, can we drop this lady? She has a baby and she's going for the race. So they declined. So there was this taxi guy who was carrying some 6-7 people. He said, I will take 2x money, but I will take you to the start location. However, up to me. I said, dude, you take $100. I don't care. Save me 7 km running before the run. So it was so sweet that actually that guy took me to the start line. I reached on time and I did the run. The run was beautiful. It takes you through the whole city.
Cobblestone?
Like cobblestone, elevations. Like it was the first time I saw, like you don't see this. This is my first international, right? So you don't see like you're here and then 500 meters, you see like everybody's going up straight like that. It's that high elevation. And then you're going steep down. It was insane. I think I aimed to do like a 4:15 or something. I was still not as fast as I am now. But then I ended up doing a 4:45 because I was like that slow and the terrain. And people were zipping past. Obviously, the locals who live and train in there, for them, it was like a cakewalk. And the prettiest city that I could run, and you can see the entire city running through the route. So Jerusalem by far stays my favorite ever. Wherever I've run, I think I haven't had another one which will take away that experience.
So many people may know this out there that I am her nutritionist, and my favorite run with her is the Marathon Des Sables, the MDS. So, I thought you would have said that is your favorite run, but I also remember it was your most grueling testament to the metal grit that any individual on the planet has. So tell me and tell my fans about the MDS. First of all, why is it the most grueling race on the planet? And when I say grueling, it can kill you.
Yeah, MDS did have history of someone dying many years ago, but
so the distance is.
So I think what makes MDS tough is I split it into 3 parts, and the first part is, of course, the fact that the terrain. It's in the Sahara Desert.
So you're running a distance in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, and when we say desert, in India, if you go to, say, Jaisalmer and see
You've
a
done
desert,
some India marathons.
I've done in Pokhran, and that terrain is tough, but I had not seen what a desert really is. Now, just to give you context, and I'll give you a very something that people probably would have done is when you go to Dubai and you do the dune bashing. You know how those dune bashings are, right? Yeah. So imagine 2x of that dune sizes is what MDS has. That's only the dunes. Then there are these rocky terrains, which has those pokey rocks because of the sand abrasion. The rocks are very, very sharp. So they have this little narrow patch through which you have to run. Some parts, you have to climb holding a rope. And then, of course, those dunes are miles and miles and miles long, and that heat. So
now everyone's thinking this is a one-day race.
Yeah. So that is number one, is the terrain. The second is the distance and the way the distance is planned. Now, it is a 250 So the distance varies in the range of 250, because it
250
is
kilometers.
250 kilometers. It cannot be the same distance, because since you're in the desert, like it kind of varies by 2, 3, 4 kilometers
Shweta,
year
if I
on
have to
year
sit
on
in
year.
a car and drive 250 kilometers, I crib. I just cannot imagine how somebody will decide to run 250 kilometers, that too in the Sahara desert.
Yeah. So and it is done through 6 stages. Now it's not like today I don't feel like running, so I will do 20 and tomorrow I will do 100. Today, if I'm scheduled to do 42 or 38 or 31, then I have to do that, and I have to finish within the cutoff time for me to qualify to do the next day.
So every day is a race against yourself.
Yes.
And to qualify.
Every day is a race for you to qualify for the next day. So it can be that with all this preparation, in my season, there were people who actually didn't make it to the last day. Like they were disqualified
On
the
the last
day
day.
they were getting the medal. Can you imagine how hurtful that would be? Like they've gone through the
Brutal
entire
torture.
256 kilometers.
Brutal torture.
Yes, but they still didn't make it on the finish line. I don't think I can deal with that pain. So that is why MDS has this. It is unique and surprising in terms of giving you pain at all different levels. Okay, now the third part is it is self-supported, which means that you carry everything that you need for the race. During the race, your hydration, nutrition, your lunch, your dinner, your sleeping accessories, your race gear, everything on you. And you carry that bag and you run by yourself.
So you're in the desert. You got to do it over 5 or 6 days. 6 days. You got 250 kilometers, dunes, sand, and to top it off, you're carrying everything that you own through this desert over 6 days. And now they tell you to carry your food and water also with you.
Yes. They only give you water, which is also at the temperature, whatever it can sustain. So there's no concept of cold water. As marathoners, we are luxurious runners. We get chilled water, ice, and cold sponge and food and all of that. You get nothing. All you get is water, which we ideally got lukewarm water. So I drank lukewarm water through the race. And when I got really, really bugged and I wanted to have something cold, I would take that water when I was back in the tent, and then I would wrap up my buff with water and then cover it and let it be. After maybe 1-2 hours, that water will cool down to become like in drinkable temperature or something like that. Now, the food is critical because there's a mandate as well.
By the way, there are no kitchens in the Sahara Desert, if anyone's thinking.
You have to light your own fire.
You have to carry your own fire.
You have to carry your own stove, and you have to light your own fire. Now, just to give people perspective, that tent that I'm talking about is actually like a tarpaulin, which is in an inverted V shape, tucked with logs on the back, and it's open on both sides. There's no cover.
And you carry that.
No, that tent is what they carry, and they set it up for us. So the tents are laid out by numbers, like our rooms. Okay. We are allocated those tents, and we have to stay in those tents. Each tent is shared by 8 people. We have like a thick carpet at the bottom, which is like a dari, nothing better than that, and a similar thing on the top.
Does sand come through the tent?
So that's what I'm saying. And in both sides, it's open. And every evening we had sandstorm, and every evening everything we had was in sand.
So you had sand in every crevice of your body.
Yes, and we had sand like it would go into your mouth. And by the way, you
can't have a bath, okay?
There is So 12-liter water they give you
every day. So you get only 12 liters of water.
And that water is for you to brush, poop, do whatever. 12 liters is all you get for your cooking, for your race, for your hydration, for your whatever you need to do. You can get additional water at an expense of time. So like if you take, say...
it's like a video game.
Yeah. So if it's like you take extra bottle of water saying, okay, I want, like they give you 2 1.5 liter bottles and then the big 5 can when you come back to the camp. So if you take extra water, first time you ask 30 minutes, add it to your time. Now people are struggling here to finish, 10 hours, you make it to like 9:55. Imagine what it'll do to add 30 minutes to you. First time 30 minutes, second time 1 hour. I think if you ask third time, then you're disqualified. So it's not like you can borrow. The other strict rule is that you cannot borrow from anybody. If you are caught borrowing, then you will be pulled out of the race. The runner who had been having the first position through last 10 years was actually given penalty because he was caught taking something from somebody.
So it's only water, it's food also. It's
Anything.
everything. Okay.
Like if you're sitting in the camp and you're like sharing and all of that is okay. But if you're taking anything, borrowing like, extra water or extra food.
So the race is you have to carry what you consume, and if you don't carry what you are meant to consume, deal with it.
Yes. If you cannot even trash. It's an eco-friendly race. You cannot even trash outside of where you're sitting. So like the bottles they give you carry your bib number.
Oh, so you have to be really climate conscious about
Yes.
what you're doing.
So you suppose
I didn't know about this.
So when you go to the checkpoint, for example, they're going to give you your bottle.
So our dehydrated food sachets and our MTR sachets and all have to be disposed very...
Yes. Wherever. So that you're eating, say, in the camp, right? So they have, every tent has like a bin that you put in stuff. The important part is water. Because water they give you through the race points, like because you're filling your water at the checkpoint. At the checkpoint, they give you either 2 bottles or 1.5, so which you can refill. Like, for example, I was carrying the bag and I had 1.5 liter bottles on me. Total 750. One had decoction that you gave me, which I will talk about, and the other one was plain water. Now, that remaining water bottle, if you choose to carry with yourself, then you have to carry back to the next checkpoint, or you leave it at the checkpoint that you are because you cannot trash it on the way. If anybody finds out, and they're really, really strict, and you'll have people guarding you all through. If they find out the bottle, it has your bib number, you'll be given penalty to the extent that you may be pulled out of the race.
Wow.
So you cannot do that. The other interesting part, everybody asks me saying, what do you do for toilet? And I have this thing that MDS makes you clean your own shit. It literally does. They give you poop bags like you have for dogs.
Yeah.
So you take your poop bags, you go to...
it's not like in India, you can just do it and leave.
Yeah, it's not like you can go do it. And,
Mind you, this is the Sahara Desert where there's nobody there.
Yes.
So you could bury your shit basically.
Yeah, but
they don't allow you to
no,
bury your shit.
You cannot do that. You have those enclosures kind of made, and which has like a Western style infrastructure. You put the poop bag there, you use it, lift it, pick it up, tie it up, and there's a bin there where you go through. Now, you can, and if you have to say on the go road while you're running, if you have to use outside the checkpoint, that's probably exceptions but how many if you're doing? But if you're the camp, you cannot just go and litter anywhere. So there's no concept of littering. They do have an extremely good care of medical facility. Now, of all of these, the third point of why MDS is difficult is because through that race, that whole experience of physical pain, added to it the mental preparation, I think it needs a next level of mental great determination to be doing that kind of race, because you're obviously not eating the food that you like. You're not eating, if you're feeling cold and hot and sunny, you typically want to have cold water or cold drink or open the fridge and have something. You don't even get the kind of food that you're used to eating. Like I ate not even frozen food, like that Haldiram dal chawal for forever now. Even if I look in the flight and I'm like, oh my God, how did I eat this for 7 days? So I think some of putting all of this together, it is a lot for a person to deal with. It just kind of takes you to the bare minimum. I like to call MDS is like the bare minimum race. You only have as much as you need. Like my mom asked me a very interesting question before I was leaving. She said, so what if you need something and you don't have it? I said, that's the whole point. That, you may need something, but you don't have it. So how do you survive in such situations? I think it's a race of survival as against the way we kind of deal with all our other runs. So
for me, it was very exciting when you came up to me and said, Ryan, I'm going to do the MDS. And I was like, oh, because I feel it's every nutritionist's worst nightmare, because planning a diet plan for marathon runners, different races across the world, ultra marathons and all, is pretty easy, because you go to a place, you stop, You can get whatever you want, the cold water, the biryani, you can eat what you want, the gels and all. And in this race, everything is boiling down to that 13 kgs that you could carry.
Yeah, I think my bag was 11.5, but
Yeah, so-
minimum 8, and I think maximum you could do was 14 or something.
14, yeah. But, when we were planning the whole thing, I still remember we were snipping off sachets so they could become lighter. And then Sweta said, I'm not going to carry this. I'm not going to carry this. I'll just eat this basic. So then we decided to plan psychological warfare also. If you remember, we tested out those foods where you got bored and ate it for a few days too. But give us some insights into what we packed into your bag.
So I think the toughest part of the Marathon Des Sables preparation was the food. I think I remember this was pretty much the same time last year, 2023, when I think I had this room filled with all kinds of packed food wherever I could find, like from flight to any food store. I remember Sanjay going to some food market. He got everything. Like everybody got everything that they could think of. And it was my job to kind of eat and reject or accept.
Manzoor hai, manzoor nahi
Yeah,
hai.
yeah.
I still
It
remember.
was really, really
And
horrible.
I remember this one question he asked me is like, Ryan, what about the nutritional content of it? And I said, Sweta, we have already done one MDS. The nutritional content for 5 days, if you can just eat an idli or crispies, you will still survive because your body will go. Where you will break down is psychologically.
Yeah.
And therefore the food could be that one thing that may be giving you that ray of hope.
So good you bring that up, is because I think when you remember, I think we went through that Excel of ours like 3, 4, 5 times. The first time we did and we put it up. First of all, tasting that food was the most horrendous experience because, as you know, I don't like eating packed food and all of that. I'm a big fan of, cook fresh and eat. I don't even like fridge food. So for me to put like hot water into some Haldiram's dabba and dal chawal, and I was like, God, what is it doing to my body kind of a feeling? All thanks to you, you make me feel like that. But I think, so that was the toughest part. And then when we built that list, I think, and when we started packing, we realized that the weight was like insane. There's no way we could carry that. And then the amount of gel and bar and all of that. And I think that's when we started rationing, saying, okay,
And
gel.
That was the equation that you and I had, which is I went to the max of your weight.
Yeah.
Because the logic was, okay, she can carry this much, she can eat this much normally, let's give it to her. But I think where you came back to me was, I'm going in as a soldier. And I think I can, if you're giving me 100%, I actually remember you seeing that you could even survive at 40%.
Correct. I think when I was training with that bag, I remember I was training, like I trained with my bag for like about 7-8 kgs. And I said, okay, this is manageable, and this is manageable in Gurgaon, in a flat road, and I'm doing it like one time.
I think you started panicking when the bag went beyond 10 kgs.
Yes, I really, really freaked out. And I think that's when I said, okay, like remove. What is it that is bare minimum
And
that
we
I
also
could
went to
do?
the extent of even taking the ready-made food where the foil packing was 250 grams.
Yeah.
And we found out a foil packing that was half that weight.
I removed the packings except anything that was like this nitro packing. Except that, I think I got those small packs of everything and anything I could bring on. Even the bars, I took the lightest weight of the bars. I got most of the stuff from wherever I could to do that. But what was interesting is that I did keep things that, as you say, that gave a psychological boost. Like if you remember the pickle you suggested I carry.
Yeah, imagine.
I remember.
Pickle in MDS. Because my thought process is, अरे भाई desert है यार, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, ढाबा भी नहीं मिलेगा. But an Indian wants a pickle.
No, and eating that gel and those bars, after a while, my only, like, day 3 was okay. The day after I finished the long run day, and I do want to talk about how that torturous that one was, your taste buds are completely dead. Like the look of the gel and you want to puke. So all you want to do is, what do you do? And pickle was such a saving grace. I know that when I do next time, I'm going to cut short one more gel and carry an extra pickle because that was the survivor. So I think, like, the pickle, those little things. I remember I carried a packet of Little Hearts as a treat to me because you really like Little Hearts. the potato chips that I carried. I think some of those things to ensure that I am getting a little bit of that food pleasure, if you may say, was absolutely helpful. The hajmola that I carried.
Do you remember when you came back and I met you for the first time? I actually gifted her packets of chips because I realized, as a nutritionist, there's physiology and there's psychology. And people might think, hey, this nutritionist is giving Lay's chips to her client. And it's about the psychology. It was not about the physiology of nutrition. But
It was the most thrilling experience. That Ryan walks into my house with this whole bag and opens and gives me, chips. And I said, Ryan, this I have to take a picture because I earned this chips packet by running MDS, I think so.
But those are the hilarious moments, that you had. But, there were, I remember when you came back, you said there were moments that you wanted to just quit up and give. And you hit rock bottom, you hit soul searching, you short of seeing God, I think that race really put a gun to your head. So what were the most difficult parts of the race? Do you remember which day, what moment?
So the most difficult part of the race for me was the long distance, the 90-kilometer day.
That was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, day 3?
It's the day 4 and the 5.
Day 4 and 5.
Day 4 and 5. And after that, also you have a 42K do after you finish the 90K. So
it's literally running a marathon every day in the desert.
Yeah.
And one of the days was a dual marathon.
Yes. And the 90K day, I had one simple logic of that I will finish, I'll start and I'll finish, and then I will stop, which I think the smartest thing I did. But also that day was really, really hard in terms of the route. Like it's like psychologically how you console yourself saying, oh, this is a long day. So while it's a long day, so I'm sure the route is going to be the easiest. So the first half of the race was horrible. Like it was so crazily tough. And I remember this one.
Tough from a point of view, the heat, the sand,
those are constant. That is always, they are the top markers always. What varies is also the route. Now this had this one route which was like this barren dry land. And the barren dry land is very hard. It's very, very tough to kind of walk or run in those terrains. Then it had this long patch of, I don't know, maybe 8-10 kilometers, and I have some pictures of that. It was so rocky. There's no way you could even maneuver your legs properly.
I remember one of my clients actually in his first MDS pulled out because he strained his ankle on this. So you actually can't go fast.
Yes.
Right?
And so what happens, especially when you reach the top of the dune, which you don't realize. So sometimes, on this day, you go through this really, really extremely rocky, like big boulders where you have to like literally, it's like trekking. Imagine if you're hiking up a mountain. How does it? So it's pretty much like that.
And then everyone sees Sahara just flat sand, right?
Correct. That's what. So the dunes are like at least 3-floor, 4-floor high dunes,
so you go
which
up
you climb,
and then you come down.
Then you come down. And then there are these patches where you have this. You're going through this kind of gradual.
You can't go around the dune.
Then the 250 kilometer will become 500 kilometers. Of course you can. Okay.
So there are flag markers along the way.
Yeah, there are flag markers along the way.
So you can see the flag marker.
Yeah, you can see the flag marker.
And do you see that mirage effect?
Of course. And you see the flag marker looks like, oh, it is right there, like 50 meters. It's actually like probably 2 kilometers away. Because it's
and that's what plays mind games with you,
that's
right?
what plays. So I'll tell you the night story, of course. And so this one time I reach up the top of the dune and I can't see anything below. And I'm like, what happened? So you're standing and there is like a steep...
Drop?
It's a drop.
And is the sun like really, really...
So this probably is
bright?
like 3 p.m. in the afternoon to 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Sun goggles at all time, right?
Sun goggles all the time. You can only take it up once the sun is off. And then also you don't want to because the sand dunes coming up, so you better just wear something. So Do you
use any special lenses?
No, I just use Oakley Prism standards, nothing else. Okay. And so
that's one thing I didn't advise you about, which sunglasses to use in the
desert.
desert.
So I just Googled up and I saw whatever everybody else was wearing, so I just picked up that. So there is...
Maybe the next MDS, if you decide to do it, we'll Google up how does
it's going to come to your list very soon, Ryan. So
you were talking about this drop, right?
Yes.
And so
that drop, so when you talk about the people getting hurt is one such example where actually... a lot of people who are used to that kind of going down and elevations and all that, they were like zipping past. I'm petrified of coming down. I'm always happy to climb. But coming down like this, like big drop was scary. So they tie a rope. And you have to hold the rope and then you go down. Now imagine you're going down.
And you're going
you
down
have
forward.
walking sticks.
Yeah.
You have a bag on you. And then you have the mat on which you sleep, which is to the back. So you have something really bulky on your back. So it obstructs your movement. It's not like a free movement. And then you have your walking sticks on you and you come down. They come down a little bit and then there's no rope. So then you have to go down on your own. Now as I'm scared, I'm trying to drag my feet in through the sand. And the next thing I know, I hit my leg on a big boulder inside.
Ouch.
And it was like, okay, so my right foot was full of blisters. Thankfully, the left foot didn't get any blisters. I don't know why this disparity, but then to help that, the left foot now had this big thud on some boulder.
Aisha, please note this down, okay? That she got blisters on the right foot. So for the next MDS we do, weight load of the bag should be to the left. And also maybe your gait analysis is more pressure on the right. So
That is correct.
we never got this in the end counseling.
Yeah,
This
we
is
didn't.
This is a point
Yeah.
that I got in today. Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you got the hurt.
So I got the hurt. Now, the obviously my mind went saying, oh gosh, right is already
And
injured.
that's psychologically
Psychologically,
race
I'm
ending.
like, oh my God, what happened? And it was kind of hurting. So anyway, so
And
that
this
was
like about into
this
the 50
this
kilometers?
this is probably the 50th kilometer. But anyway, so
And you
so
still had about 40 kilometers more to go.
I still have 50 kilometers to go because it was 90 kilometer
Ouch.
day. So anyways, I come down and then whatever, I finished, we went, and then the sun starts to go down and the route is a little bit nice.
How do you walk in the night?
So at night, you just walk or you run.
Do you have a headlamp or something?
You have a headlamp. And so my
Were you walking with other people just to keep yourself
no,
motivated?
I wasn't because you might randomly just talk to somebody or something because I was all by myself, right? So it's not.
How safe is a marathon for women?
It's safe. There are a lot of people who are
That-
running alone. I ran most of the
No, for
most of the
context for our
run.
viewers, because there are only people from the MDS. Is there public around there?
No, there's nothing. Nobody.
Nobody.
It's in the Sahara desert. Like for God's sake, there's not even animals or there's nothing
Did
out
you see
there.
any animal?
No. We
Nothing.
only saw in some parts when we were crossing maybe like some so-called distant village, which is like 3-4 houses, you will probably see another human being or you will see some camels. There's nothing else. Like there is nothing else. There is no tree, no
It's one
plant,
of the
nothing.
loneliest races also.
Yes, it is. So that's why I said that mind is very, very important. Like I played all kind of games with myself. I played Antakshari. I did conversations with people all my life. Like I had moments where I just went back from my life from where I remember till date. How my life has been, what I did.
So almost like a internal meditation.
Yes, it is. It is meditative. Like when I came back, I think I was a different person because I had like aloha moments of saying, oh, you know what? What a discovery.
I found you much more calmer in your subsequent counselings that I did. Like previously to the MDS, you would be very agitated before a race.
Yeah.
Any marathon.
Yeah.
I got to get this, I got to get that, I got to do this. Like you're catching a bus to somewhere. And now you're like,
Yeah,
if
because
I miss the bus, I'll walk.
correct. So I see it just brings things to perspective. As I said, that there was no luxury of say changing clothes. I wear the same set of clothes for 7 days. So
What
today
about women if they have their menstrual cycle in the desert?
you figure it out.
And we planned for it, right?
Yeah, you figure it out. I'm sure there were 120 people, women. So I'm sure people had those challenges or whatever. I mean, you figure it out.
So in athletic power race, what we do is we understand women's cycle 12 months in advance. That's why for any marathon, ultra runner or Olympic level athlete, if you track your menstruation cycle on an app, then you can use food or certain nutraceuticals about 1 year in advance to slightly shift your menstruation cycle. Because if you know the MDS is on X date, around 6 to 7 months prior, you can plan to shift it slightly. So that was one thing that we were, working with you. But, you carried all of these things and all. Everybody carried water. And I remember telling you, we need to get you the best isotonic solution, which I know as a sports nutritionist is glucose, fructose, and the right ratio of sodium to potassium. Because in the desert, or anywhere for that matter, you lose 5 times the amount of sodium to potassium. And in most sporting events or marathons, you lose it only for 1 day. And here was 5 days on the trot. But I think I was very enamored or very startled at the same time to discover that many people just relied on plain water. So what was your experience with hydration? What was your experience with the one chase, and how did it help you out at the Sahara MDS?
I still remember the taste of that decoction I used to make in the morning when I used to leave the camp. Like by the day 6th, I was like cursing you, saying, Ryan, I cannot have this another day of my life.
But you didn't cramp.
But that was the reason I think I was able to sustain through those 7 days in this brutal heat, is because I had my hydration in place. When I say hydration, it's not just about water. It was about the electrolytes I was getting. I had the right portion and the right mix of whatever I needed to sustain, because you're losing salt at such a fast pace.
Could you see the white salts on your outfit?
Everything was white.
Everybody?
Everything was white.
The other runners also?
Yes, everything was white. You could feel it. By the time you would come back, and your body is so heated because of, like you're wearing gaiters, so your foot is kind of really boiling
gaiters,
inside.
Just for the general audience in India who's never seen a desert, what are gaiters?
So gaiters are like shoe covers. Like imagine a socks that you wear over a shoe. It is kind of stuck to your shoe with the Velcro. It prevents for any sand to go inside.
But did sand go in?
No. But you have to wear a gaiter to run in a sand. You get snow gaiters as well, which protects you from it getting wet and snow not getting into your shoes and socks. So you have to wear a sand gaiter. The job of it is that sand doesn't go inside your foot. Now, the challenge with gaiters is that it becomes it's like heat sealed inside. So that is why you get blisters and hot.
What was the peak temperature during the day? Around
48, 50.
48, 50.
We would start at like 40 this year. So
I think anyone doing the MDS this year is going to be crucial, because it's going to be the hottest summer on the planet.
Yeah, it was the hottest.
Did your shoes melt in any way?
No, it didn't, because thanks to my shoes. But I did have a teammate who's...
Which shoes did you use for the MDS?
I wore Solomon. I've always done all my trails with Solomon. I am a big... I believe they are the best. And,
when we were talking about one chase being I remember you sending me a picture of one chase in the desert.
Yes.
And I was so proud, because being the creator of an isotonic solution, like what would you ask? You wanted to enhance performance in people, but then when you put that in the Sahara desert in the sand, it just gives you a perspective. 5 days in the desert, isotonic. But you shared one story that a lot of people did cramp and were lost on the race because they had no knowledge about how to hydrate.
So I will tell you a simple example.
And I was surprised, because we assume that the Western people are far more educated than us here in India. And you said that many came with just absolutely nothing. So
one of my tent mates, the day one, when we finished, we were like close by. We thought, okay, we'll run together. I was new. I was a little skeptical. So we started with them. And then, of course, I moved ahead. And then they came a little later. And once we kind of pretty much finished nearby, he came and he fainted at the fix line. That was day one.
Fainted as in collapsed?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the camp on day one. Now, he's a triathlete. He's done one of the hardest full Ironmans in the world. He has done some 100 days solo sailing and stuff like that. So he does this like the back of his hand. But of course, he's from UK and he's not used to this kind of heat. He was not prepared.
You're more tropical.
He didn't have, he was not taking any electrolytes. And he was just like that.
I'm genuinely surprised, because triathlon, Ironman, you got to be educated that sports nutrition is so important.
Because Ryan, nobody wants to spend on nutrition.
Speaking of spending, how much did you spend for the MDS? What's the entry fee to enter the MDS today? 4,500
pounds to register.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
And then the gear that you have to place in place adds up to, I don't know, maybe about $2,000.
So you're spending about 10,000 pounds?
I spent about approximately 7 to 8 lakhs just the race. I'm not considering my training, my nutrition, all of that I'm keeping aside, because that's my regular expense, for example.
So for the Indian audience out there, if you have to prepare for the MDS, you're looking at about a 15 lakh expenditure.
And I mean, if they go through nutrition and
the training, the physio, the running coach.
Yes,
the
anywhere
fee.
between 10 to 12 lakhs for sure.
Yeah, and
like,
if you want to be like supercharged Mercedes-Benz side, you go a little bit higher on your expenditure.
Yeah, because see, some of those things
So this is not something a student can do.
Well, if the father's rich, he or she can.
or they get good sponsors. Were you sponsored?
No, nobody sponsored.
We are open for sponsorship for the next MDS.
Oh,
you
yes.
give us the money, we're going to the Sahara. I'll be the guy that sits in the Moroccan hotel watching TV and like, okay, where is she at this point in the race?
Yeah, they have a GPS tracker, so you can actually track me where I am.
Were people in the MDS allowed to contact their families? You had
No,
satellite?
there is no network.
Talk to me about no phones. What about that?
There's no phone.
There's no phone for 5 days?
There's no phone. There's no network. There's no charging option. You carry your either charger, like
You
a power
carried
bank.
You carried a power bank, right?
I carried a power bank. I don't know why I carried it. So next time I'm not going to carry phone. I can just shave off like at least 500 grams by not carrying those
Look at the
two
mindset,
devices.
right? I know phone. I can shave off 500 grams. To you and me, like, what is 500 grams? When you have to go 5 days through the desert.
Ryan, you saying that, you remember the toothbrush?
Yeah,
I cut off the tail of the toothbrush because it saved me 10 grams. Like you were telling me.
Do you know what we did afterwards? We found the baby toothbrush which you put on your thumb.
Yeah,
and
that's what you told me. But I said, you know what? In the sand, it might get lost and I won't have one. Then I actually thought, I said, why do I even need a toothbrush? It's not like I'm having shower and I'm, gelling my hair and coming out like this. I'm like, you're in sand and dust. So I said, next time I said, I don't even need a toothbrush. I'm going to carry, and I carried that tiny 2 rupees paste. But I do have a list of things that I'm not going to carry next
Do you
year.
have photographs of that?
I mean, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, so let's put these photographs up in the podcast so that people can see these.
Yeah, it was
walking
insane.
through the
It's
dunes
insane the kind of stuff I did but carried. But there is an option of using satellite phone, which is at an additional cost to call home. And I did call, I think, after the long day, after the third day, I think. And okay, the most amazing or the lovable part of MDS, okay? You go, day one, you finish, and then this lady. So there are dedicated people who take care of tents, like tent managers, so to say. So they come, any announcement, anything they have to give and all of that, they come and give 10 by 10 by 10 because there is no like big mic and all of that happening. So this lady comes in the evening with a bunch of paper printouts and they call out and they give those papers. Now take a wild guess what those papers are.
Emails from home?
Yes. They have letters from friends and family who have sent emails to us. Now on day one, what was very interesting, nobody sent me email. The previous year, my bib number 917, that person sent me an email saying, I was 917, you're doing very well, That person was tracking me.
Wow.
And
So a complete stranger who's never
I don't
met
know
you.
who that person is. He was 917 the previous year. So this year, I know the tour is 917. I'm going to send that person an email.
So only an MDS veteran knows what it is to be broken and do that race and what the words of encouragement mean for the next person.
And so that's when you know. Now from the next day onwards, everybody we would all wait. And I had a whole bunch of people like my boss, my physio, everybody sent emails for the next 6-7 days. And we remember we used to read out those emails and we literally used to cry.
Why would you read out the emails?
Because
everyone in the tent would listen in?
Yeah. We would share. We would share comments. Like some people had their kids writing in and they would have funny jokes or, somebody had... I would jump and say, oh, you know what? My boss sent me an email. Like, for God's sake, when I'm off work, she should be cursing me and she was there cheering and supporting for me. That's something that you would want to share. So we would share and we would cry and, it was like those... The tent becomes your family. You share those moments which are so special.
Does it give you hope that humans can connect anywhere in the world?
Oh, yes. Especially if you're put in a situation like this, in a state of crisis and survival, I think you become the best of the friends. I'm going to London now, so I'm really looking forward to meeting all of them. And there are people who you bond really well with. And I met one of them at Berlin last year in September. So especially if you're put into this kind of distress situation, it happens a lot in professional lives also. If you have a bad boss, then the team really, really bonds very well because the pain point is the same. We all relate to ourselves. We were at MDS, the same situation. We were all away from home. We were not in touch. We were going through, putting ourselves through this whole pain or whatever. So we obviously had each other to kind of share, and nobody understood our pain better than the people who were there themselves. Like, I had the most amazing experience. Like there was my neighbor, and somehow he was like the fireman. He would lit the fire, and I was never successful in lighting that fire to heat the water.
Okay, so you needed the fire for warming
heating the water is what you will put in your food. Then that food will become edible, right? Otherwise, this is all that dried stuff that we were carrying. So, and then, of course, I needed my coffee in the morning. So it was his job. He would wake up and say, "Do you want some hot water, Shweta?" in his English. And I would say, "Oh, yes, of course, why not?" And then he would make that.
So how would you heat the water? You would have a butane torch or paraffin candles?
We had these one tiny little stove which weighed, I think, some 20 grams or something. And then it had those tablets which you pre-order and you carry at the camp because you can't carry in the flight. And then they lit up, you light them, and then there's fire. It takes a lot of while because it's open, it's windy, there is sandstorm.
So you're putting bags
so
and all
you're trying to put, there's one time, I think twice actually, there's like a big fire lit up in front of some tent. So we were at the outside. So it was easier for us that nothing would go on to fire, but it's very difficult to light one because there was like open air coming up.
How many people took part in the MDS
1,200 this year. And we had 40%, almost 40% dropout.
1,200 people take part in the most grueling race on the planet.
Yes.
And 40% drop out.
So this
Actually,
year...
They don't drop out, they don't meet the cut, right?
No, the people do drop out because
Did
they
anyone
can't
drop
make
out
it.
from your tent?
Yes. Day 2.
What was the reason?
Day 2, he dropped out and he just...
Injury or just,
No.
I can't do it?
I can't do it. Because it's
all the Indians all the Indians are asking, do we get a refund on the money?
No. you're like it's like once paid. It's like marriage. Once done, you can't be not married again.
So all the business community, when you enter the MDS, remember, no refund. So you have to complete the MDS.
Yeah. It's like after spending all of that money, you spend the same money whether you finish or you're not finished. So you better decide what you want to do and
Speaking of spending money, I want to take a U-turn into what we have been doing the last few years together. You're one of the very few marathon runners in the country who invest in sports nutrition plan. Many people do sports nutrition plan. They do 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. They do it with people like me, a sports nutritionist, or at my Kwa Nutrition Clinic, or with the various dietitians, nutritionists out there, or even the running coaches do nutrition plans. But people do it like 3 months, 6 months and all. We've been together now for years. I think 4 years running now, or 5 years running. What's your thought process as an elite runner, as an endurance runner, as a woman runner, on spending money on a nutrition advisory plan?
I will tell you something that my mom told me, and I will remember this moment. I was sitting at the Morocco airport to come back home, and after the race, I was just like, I was to extend my trip and come back, but then I preponed it and I said, you know what, I'm done. I want to just get home. And
there's always that thing, no? Let's get home.
Yeah, it's like I think I'd had enough when I was alone, lonely, like beaten, broken. But yet a new me, and I think I just was waiting to come back to the comfort. So there were two things that one my dad said and one my mom said. My dad never appreciated me doing this and, of course, splurging all the money that I do. But he said that, maybe I should have supported you more. And I'm so proud of you. I think that weighed to me as much as my MDS medal does. But the interesting part that my mother said was that you were able to do this because for all these years, the way you've taken care of your body, especially with your food, is why you were able to sustain these 7 days. Because your body had been prepared for years.
It was not that we started
it
1
was
month
not.
in
It's not a
advance.
project.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to tell is that people take nutrition as a project. I will do this and then I will learn and then I will do. I don't think I've learned we're going to finish 4 years and start 5. I don't think I've learned. And there is nothing that I can learn. I understand. I'm more educated to see, what to eat, what is good for me. You've given me that sense. But can I do this on my own? Of course not. So I think people treat this, they want to do it, but they do not treat their body with that love and care. And I go back to saying that it is my definition of self-love, that I want to ensure that while I'm doing the sport with my age, going through these grueling experiences, I have to take care of my body at all times. And that means that I have to have the right nutrition in place. It's not about a race. It is about my day-to-day at my age. I don't have any diseases considering from the family history I have. I can be bragging about it. And I think I'm able to do it only because I have worked with you for all these years. So, I honestly don't understand why people wouldn't spend on staying healthy and happy.
I think, you have defined the perspective that your body is the most expensive real estate.
It is.
And you're living in it as a landlord. You're not living in it as a tenant, which what I see is many marathon runners, ultra marathon runners, and even 5K, 10K runners. Everyone's like, oh, I'm a tenant in my body. They'll take some cursory advice off the internet and do it and stuff like that.
It's like this, that, you're okay to spend whatever lakhs of money on the doctor, but you don't want to prevent spending that money. I'm not saying that I may not need to spend that money, but at least I'm giving my body a fair chance to not spend that money. So why wouldn't I do it, right?
So the wonders that you've got in nutrition, which you've continued to sustain, you've continued to invest. And for everyone out there who keeps picking up the phone, it's like, I want to work with celebrity nutritionist Ryan Fernando. I do not work free with people. Sweta invests her hard-earned money in my nutritional services. Where am I going with this point? Year on year, you keep investing. You're a lady who would carry a Louis Vuitton Gucci bag, but from a thought process, you'd like, I'd buy a better shoe. I'd buy a better running outfit. I'd get a better diet. I'd invest in a running coach. I'd invest in a mind coach rather than carry that bag, which is materialistic, but you see it internally to you. So when you're investing, what are some of the wonders that you have seen from nutrition? Like, are there like some nice things that you hate doing? Like, look how I say this. Nice things that you hate doing first thing in the morning. What are the things that you love from a nutrition perspective? And what are the changes that you have seen in nutrition? For example, you started following something, and what was the outcome of that?
So on a lighter note, my LV bag wouldn't get me sitting here, but my investment has been right. So there is ROI to my investment, as people can see here. I'm sitting with celebrity nutritionist Ryan Fernando. So I think I did it well and right.
You could probably buy 4 Louis Vuitton bags with the MDS.
People just like, oh, you are with. How much does Ryan charge? And I'm like, that's none of your business. Well, like, go ask Ryan how much he charges. Are you interested in training with him? Then just go. Then they say, oh, you have a coach who's in the US. How much does he charge? Everything is all about money.
So you have a coach in the US?
I have a coach in the US who does my running training. I've been with him for a little longer than I've been with you. I have a coach who does my gym and, the whole mobility, agility, etc. I also am a regular with a physio. It's like, because to me, recovery is most important, and I think it's about training, performance, recovery, and my general wellness. So I think all of that. Now, coming to your question, I think there's just so many. I just don't know where to start. But I think the first thing that you got me gluten-free. I have always had roti. Being a Bengali, I've never been a rice fan. I've always liked chapati. Like, I remember growing up, we didn't have a concept of making roti at home.
But I always thought Bengalis ate rice.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, you're an outlier.
I'm a born outlier, I think. I used to get rotis from neighbors or sometimes even from hotel. I've even eaten bread for dinner because I didn't want to eat rice, because I've never been fond of rice. even today, I would like a biryani or a fried rice, but like rice is like once in a while, occasional treat is fine. I'm not like a rice fan. So and I've always had this whole problem of sinus and all of that. I think when you got me to gluten and lactose free was the first time I saw, today I can differentiate. I know that when I eat gluten, what happens to me. So I think that was the biggest life-changing advice or correction you got into my life first. Also, I had seen my dad. He would always say, when I eat roti, my stomach gets upset. Now, what are the chances that he's actually gluten intolerant or allergic, but he doesn't know because nobody did the gene test and figured it out and all of that. So I think that was the first, it's a turning point in my life, if I would say, because I have struggled with sinusitis till I met Ryan Fernando. So I think I owe you for this big time outside of whatever money I pay you, number one. Number two is that with my age, to be year on year working on performance, I don't think would be possible if I wouldn't be working with you.
You actually, sorry to interrupt you, you actually did about 140 kilometers last week.
146.
146 kilometers. I've not even driven that distance in 1 week. Sweta has run that distance in 1 week. So that gives you the perspective of the pounding she does to her body and how young she looks. And I'm not allowed to reveal her age, but she's really young at heart, really young in cellular age. That's because of the nutrition that she puts into your body. So
also, like that you mentioned 146 kilometers, and on average, I train 2 to 3 hours every day. I have a full-time job as well.
So how do you manage family, parents, your partner, your boss, your company? Because people think that, okay, like this lady must be running then going off to sleep. Walk us through your day.
I never get to run and go to sleep. Like never. It's like I finish running and then by then my gym trainer is calling, ma'am, gym. I'm like, yeah, coming, wait.
Yeah, like today is like, Sweta, where are you? The podcast is going to start. Yeah, I'm just finishing my run and coming. So she's actually finished her run and then come for the podcast. That's how disciplined Mahasweta is.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I manage because I like you say in MBA you're taught, right, that if you cannot measure, you cannot manage. And I think we apply it only to sales numbers. I apply it to my life. I just see that I have 24 hours. I need a good quality 6 hours sleep is good enough for me. If I'm, and people relate recovery and rest to sleep. Recovery and rest happens through the day. It happens through the damn food that you're eating. It happens to your state of mind that you are in. It could even happen to just get up and look outside and take few deep breaths. Is recovery good enough? But people don't see it like that. People say, oh my God, I need to sleep 10 hours if I run for 2. I mean, nobody needs to sleep for 10 hours. So I'm a big fan of Sadhguru. He sleeps for 3-4 hours. That's where I would love to go to. So, and then I just finish my training. I eat what you tell me to eat. It's like, so when I eat or I go somewhere, I have this saying that what would Ryan react to this? And trust you me, that is my first reaction, saying, Ryan will die if he sees me eating this. I cannot eat this. So that's my reaction. But I think it's just easy. I recently did a presentation when I said the winning margin. And the winning margin is I split my day hours into how I split it. And only 8% of my whole day is what I spend into my passion, which is fitness.
Only 8%?
Only 8%.
But the rest, still 2 hours a day, right?
Yeah, but it is only 8%. You still have 92% of your time to do what you want to do. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not that I have anything extra. It's that it's a choice I have made. Instead of going and binging at Netflix for 2 hours, I would rather go and do my run. Instead of trying and sitting somewhere and I do coffee after every single day after my run. I do coffee with my friends.
That's your downtime, right?
It's I mean, everybody knows that 7:30 she is found at the cafe irrespective. Like if I don't go, then the coffee guy will ask, Madam, aap aaye nahi the, aap kahin gaye the? Like, it's the cutest thing I hear. And then I come back, I get to work. I have as you know, I head marketing for a big IT company worldwide. So my job is taxing. I put about 8 to 9 hours of my job.
And that's mental thinking, right?
Yeah, it's mental thinking.
It's different if it's just physical labor or something because you could be mentally absent and just do your data processing. Yeah. But you got to be sharp with a team who's probably half your age.
Oh, yes. team with half your age, or people who are in my age and having different challenges, seniors who are kind of extremely demanding hours and times and stuff like that. So I just think that it's controlled in terms of, how do I recover? So when I come back, I know that glutamine and collagen, most important, carry it wherever I go. Like even in Bangalore, my bag has collagen and glutamine with me saying, oh, you know what, I had the run, I have to have it. So it is just these choices that I have made, because I just think that if I'm working with experts, what is the point if I don't follow you? You tell me, Sweta, you can't eat gluten, but I say, oh, you know what, I ran 30 kilometers, so chole bhature to banta hi hai. I live in Delhi, right? So people swear by chole bhature. Now, like for example, Holi is coming, gujia. I found somebody who makes gluten-free baked.
No way.
Gluten-free
No way.
baked date sweetened gujia.
I'm calling you up. You're sending that across.
It's like, oh my goodness, how did that happen? My life suddenly started looking up. But I have made those choices. If I wouldn't get that, I'm happy not to eat. But the problem is that, you give in to your temptations. I think it's just simple choices that I made. That's what has helped me sustain. Simple.
You talked about your work and heading a large global IT company's marketing division. If you had to run your own company and you had people working with you, would you encourage your employees to take up physical activity? Would you encourage them to eat healthy?
So I would make fitness as a part of the whole appraisal process, saying that, it is a mandate. Like if a lot of the shoe brands who have offices here, they have this practice that, you have to mandatorily be doing 1 hour of gym and things like that. So it would be part of their regime and routine. It would be like a mandatory code of conduct, if I may say. And Ryan Fernando would be doing nutrition for everybody. And
that's very interesting. I want to share with you.
Actually, I would love to kind of ensure that, charity begins at home kind. So, you start with practicing it with everybody. On that note, you would also know that I ensure that my mom goes to gym and follows a fairly decent eating plus supplement level. Like she also takes glutamine and collagen and all of that. All courtesy you. She goes to the gym every single day. 6 days
gym as
a
in
week.
She does resistance training?
Of course. She does, she sends me videos where she's doing 80 kg, 90 kg leg press and stuff like that.
Cool.
She's 65.
So here's the thing. If Mahasweta Ghosh had to recommend to the women of India, the modern women of India, some advice, what would you take out from your book of wisdom to them?
Watch where you're investing. Most people go to parlor for beautification and doing skin care and health care and everything, like you said. And I love when people say that my skin looks very nice. Maybe some of it is genetic, but I think I am feeling and looking the way I am looking because I'm taking care of my body from inside, not from outside. I don't get a facial or a thing like that done. I'm not trying to look down upon anybody who's doing it. I'm just making a suggestion that maybe balance it out of taking care of your body, not just externally, but internally as well, because internal will reflect externally. Instead of buying a solitaire worth 10 lakhs, maybe invest in a nutritionist and get back into a wellness regime, which is a combination of your fitness, the right kind of food, mental wellness, and you will automatically start looking the way you're looking. I don't remember when I think 2 years ago I got a facial done because I was going to my cousin's wedding and everybody in my house is like, we're bongs, right? So everything is about gold and decking up and I'm nowhere there. And I said, okay, at least let me play a tiny role. So I just think that make smart choices.
People who are on a nutrition plan, specifically when they're doing it with me, I still remember I was working with a leading Tollywood, which is our part of the world, Bollywood actress. And she came to me 3 months later and she says you know what? The cameraman asked me, Madam, आप कौन सा facial कर रहे हैं? आपका skin तो मतलब camera के उधर चमक रहा है. So she came to me and is like, I haven't gone for a facial for 3 months. What have you done? Yeah. And what most people don't realize is that skin is the largest organ in the human body. You put in the right foods, You open up the pores. And for the viewers out there, like most of my guests who come in and put tons of makeup on, this is her glowing skin. There's no cakes of makeup on her. So the process over here is running enhances oxygen. Running enhances the damage to the body, which is positive in terms of the growth hormone that comes the next day to reheal your body so you become younger. And third is the dal chawal roti that you're eating correctly minus the gluten. By the way, gluten is huge in hyperpigmentation. Research has shown that most of your rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, vitiligo, which are skin conditions, are triggers of eating the wrong food, where your autoimmune system slaps yourself. So right now, the only slapping that is happening inside of your body is those 2 hours of workout that you do every day, which is a positive. Most people do it from food, and that food, when it slaps the body, well, you get it on the lips to the hips kind of thing, and the skin starts degenerating.
I will tell you something which is really funny. And so when I first started with you, you gave me this collagen I have, right? And super expensive or whatever. At least then it felt like. So I used to be like, I don't know what this thing does. I don't know why it's giving me all this, it's so expensive. Like first you pay Ryan, and then the supplements are also like this. And I used to be like, like I had it, but I think I was like, do I really need this? Like, is it go? And today, there is always...
It's in your suitcase bag.
It's in my suitcase bag, and it's like a stock of it in the house. Like, what if, tomorrow suddenly, as if I won't get it or something I'm having, which comes from the moon. So it is a mindset change that happened, not because of anything else, but realizing what it is doing to me. I think that realization today, my mom has like collagen, and all my friends who are not even into fitness, they've also started having collagen looking at my skin. Like their reasons are different, but at least they've started having collagen.
So I hope you're taking supplement.in collagen, because that's the collagen I design. And I'll share a secret with you. When we were designing the product, we put in the right amount of vitamin C, grapeseed extract, and glutathione in very minute quantities. But the reason why collagen is important for you is not the skin.
Yeah.
It's your soft tissue.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 pounding the pavement every day, right? So what people don't realize is collagen or gelatin, these two guys have a certain amino acid in it, which the other food chains of protein, you do not get those 2 amino acids readily available. So actually your body doesn't absorb collagen. You eat collagen, your stomach acid rips it apart into its designated amino acids. You absorb those amino acids. Now your body's like, hey, Mahasweta, you've given me proline and hydroxyproline. What are we going to do with this? The skin's like, hey, buddy, we need some proline and hydroxyproline if you got some extra. So literally, I'm like a drug dealer to you, providing you that necessary bump up. And then the next thing that people ask me, is there any side effect? And I always tell people, if it's found in the human body, so collagen is found in the human body. So it's like saying vitamin C. It's found in the human body. If you take a little bit more vitamin C, not too much of it. So you don't need more than 10 grams of collagen a day. The thing is, the Indian diet is deficient in collagen.
Yeah.
And all the manufacturers that are manufacturing vegetarian collagen, they're actually hoodwinking the public.
So I will tell you two stories. The reason I actually don't mind having collagen now is because I realize that, and this is a statement that my physio made a few months ago, is that I'm seeing your body transform as in terms of the muscular structures. It's like it's becoming more like an athlete. And all I contributed to is, one is the training, running routine, and the second is you. And I'm not saying this because you're on a podcast. I've been here with you for long enough to know that how much I trust you. So that was the big reason why today I know what it is doing to my body, especially when it comes to running. Because for me, everything is, the world is about running, right? If it's good for running, if it's good for me, then I will do it. I don't care how, whatever, as long as I have the money pocket to, if I can afford it, I will do it. I'm a white collar job person. I don't have black money. So, but I have a friend, she's a runner, and she had been having her knee trouble for a long time. Very good runner, but I think she'd been injured for a long time. So one day, I generally run alone, but that particular day I think was happening, and she was like Shweta, do you take collagen? I said, of course I do. I like 2 times a day. She's like, I said, you don't? So she said, no, I'm vegetarian. I said, collagen is all vegetarian. She said, no, it comes from some whatever. So she's Jain. Okay, she's like strict about not having all of this. And she was like, no, I don't think so. I can have, mera dharam brasht ho jayega type things. I tried really hard to convince her. And there were others also who were really laughing. Yeah, she's a runner. And she's a very good runner. But she'd been having her knee injury for a long time. So then she started having collagen. And she did a super strong NDM.
What's the NDM?
A New Delhi marathon.
So the full distance?
No, the half.
The half. So still 21 kilometers of pounding on the joints.
But she says she started having collagen and she says that her knee starting to feel better. So, I mean, for those of you who think that the skin part that we were actually making fun of is actually a byproduct. For someone like me, for whom running is the world, I think it is doing so much good to not just me, there are others who are kind of trying to adapt
I remember when you first started me, it was like, but what about whey protein, right? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, whey protein is really good. But the moment you understand your gut symbiosis with a food, be it dairy, be it gluten, be it collagen, be it animal protein, be it vegetarian protein, the problem is people try to make nutrition fashionable.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you run with Solomon, so I should run with Solomon. But maybe mine would be Asics because my feet structure is different.
Yeah.
So the same applies with nutrition, You're a busy bee. You do a lot of work. You do a lot of running. It's like 140 kilometers a week. I don't even drive that distance. Someone ask a question. What do you do on your off days? Do you ever relax?
So I'll split that into 2 parts on your off days. So there's off from work and there's off from training. Now, off from training is a Monday, which is not off from work. So off from training is when I actually do the physio, maybe do some mobility, spend some time doing meditation, which I do any which ways daily, and then I just focus on work. Now, off from work is when I actually chill out, because they're also my long run days, which I really, really love. So I get to run longer. And then you also give me cheat meal on my off days. So I do take cheat meal. And I'm sure you will ask me what I eat.
What's a cheat meal? For everyone out there, what does this lady do on a cheat day? I know you love my hometown, which is Goa.
Yeah. So I'm a hardcore non-vegetarian. So my cheat meal is usually a lot of Thai food. Because I don't eat gluten, but now we have a gluten-free pizza place in Bangalore, in Gurgaon. So then I do pizza, but occasionally, but actually my go-to food would be a lot of Thai food because it's gluten-free and all the sushi and everything.
So you like spicy food?
Not really. But then Thai food is because it's my cheat meal and it's the only luxury I can have, so then go for it. So and I'm not like too much of an Indian cuisine, like butter chicken is not something I would go for on a regular cheat meal day. I might do it one off.
And as a Bengali, on your rest days or cheat meal days, are there any books involved?
So that's what. So on my rest days, on the weekends, I love to read. So like last weekend was like a really high. I started a book on Saturday and by Monday morning I'd finished the book. So that was like a perfect rest day for me. Otherwise, I also am a movie junkie. So I love to watch movies, and if it's in the theatre, then all the more better. But then...
Have you ever fallen off asleep in a theatre because you're so tired from a run?
Never. I've never fallen off anywhere when I've not wanted to sleep. Never, ever. So I either watch movies or I do Netflix. I love suspense thrillers, so I like watching a lot of these thriller Netflix series. And I actually like to take the downtime. Sometimes I keep my phone off. I do believe in digital downtime, which means that I would not watch anything on the screen. No phone, no Netflix, no screen, nothing. I just probably just try and do cooking or do things that would relax me, which is not the usual. So I really focus on saying that how do I want to ensure that it gives me the hit refresh in the true sense of mental And then for the physical, of course, is the Monday when I do the physical rest part of it.
And once you've recovered and rested and had your cheat meal and you come back to a training day, what does your training day look like?
So I wake up around 4:15, between 4 to 4:30 in the morning, and then I'm out.
What's your sleep time?
Around 10:30. And
You need an alarm clock to wake up?
I do, because I think I've just gotten used to it. But I do tend to wake up around the same time, even without an alarm. But I do keep an alarm. But I don't use the phone for an alarm, by the way.
Why is that?
I just don't like to keep the phone next to me or the digital. And I don't check my phone till 10:30 in the morning, usually. Unless if I know that there's something pressing at work and I'm expecting
and you're
a
not a
response.
cardiovascular surgeon, neither am I.
Yeah.
I have the same thing. The other day I got a client messaging me on the food diary, and I checked it only at 9 in the morning when I walked into the clinic. And it was a panic message about the scale not moving. So I just chuckled because, I'm like, you didn't have a heart attack. But to that person is like, I stepped at the weighing scale at 6 a.m. in the morning and you were not available till 9 o'clock, So I think we need to detox a little bit on the pressures of being instantly available, and the cortisol stress that comes into your thinking and body actually contributes to weight gain.
I remember you telling me this, and I think it was because of my age and whatever, my cycle schedules. I was having some sleep trouble, and you told me, saying, do you spend a lot of time on the screen? And I said, well, yes, that's my job. And then outside of that, and I said, okay, I can't take the screen away from my job, but I definitely can take screen away from my rest of the time. So I keep the phone outside in the study, it's charging, and then, I put a regular alarm clock, which the old school one kinds. So I really enjoy
They're
that
very difficult
part.
to get nowadays. I recently went to buy one of those old school with the two bells and and I'm searching for it, and it's not very easily available. But speaking of alarm clocks, we need wake-ups to start our day. So you're getting up by 4:30 in the morning, alarm clock's going off. What then?
So I get up, and then I'm a coffee junkie a little bit, that you know. So first shot of coffee, then I get ready, I step out to run. I'm usually out to run by 5:30ish, depending on what my schedule is. Maybe earlier, but never later, especially because you live in Gurgaon and it's very, very hot. So you've got to finish your run early. Finish my run by usually 7:30ish. And then traditionally customary coffee that happens at the cafe in the neighborhood, where I come, my partner joins, if the other friends who are running. It's like an open thing, whoever is there. And we have lots of friends who regularly come there. So even if not my circle of friends come, there are other friends who are there. So we have like our whole banter of 40 minutes, an hour. Then I come back home, and sometimes there is gym, sometimes there is no gym, maybe gyms later in the day. I kind of set up breakfast for my family. I change, get ready, do my puja, meditation, lay breakfast for the family, and then I hit work by 11:30ish. And I think 12:31 is lunch. And through this time, I just get up, I take lunch, and then I get back to work. And then sometimes there's gym in the evening. So then I take that break for an hour, I go to gym. I mostly work from home because my work timing's mostly UK shift. So I start around 11:30, and I go till late night. So then I do the gym for an hour, and I come back, I do dinner, back to work. And then I finish work around 9:30ish. Then I take some downtime with my family, which is like either read a book or do something, whatever. Maybe just go out for a little drive or watch something, and then go to sleep by 10:30. That's my typical day, Monday through Friday.
So that's a typical day, and that's you going go and training during season. But what is your off season like? Do you completely drop off in terms of your entire schedule now? On what does your nutrition look like in the off season days?
So
because I have a lot of marathon runners, and all the off season they just go berserk. They just get off the bandwagon. They stop doing a nutrition plan. So what's your off season like?
Honestly, I don't believe in anything called as off season. I mean, I think for every athlete who's got to be in the sport, it's like that you cannot go below base. And interesting that today morning I was running with somebody I met for the first time, and that person was telling that every time he finishes a run, he stops running completely. And then he only starts like 18 weeks before the race. And I'm like, you're at sub-negative. How would you, 18 weeks, how would you do a marathon again? So I am always in training, as you know. Yes, the training intensity varies depending on how close I am to a race, etc. According to that, my nutrition plan also varies, saying, if I'm, say, in a low volume period versus a high volume period, obviously the diet and the supplements needed, the recovery needed, and all of that is varying. But it's never a state where I don't know what off-season is, because I don't understand that. Why would you not train? Because the moment you don't train for 4 weeks, you're going to go back like 6 months in your training routine. So why would you do that? I get 2 weeks of break after a race, and then I start training again. The intensity gradually builds up from there, training for the next race that I was coming up. But I don't remember having a time when I'm not really training or I'm not into nutrition. The most important mistake I think most people do is that when your peak is low is when you also lose focus on nutrition. That's when you put on weight. That's when you lose all your strength. And then you have to start back from scratch. And most of the times we come back with saying, oh, you know what, now I have to lose 5 kgs and then get to my training. And then just imagine how messed up your body and your whole system and your routine is. And the poor running coach, does he focus on getting you back to base or building your base? So I think my base is always there, be it come nutrition, be it I am just, how paranoid I am if my weight goes up. Like for me, it's like hell breaks. So I don't think I ever let go. I might take smaller breaks, like say I usually don't drink whenever I'm training. But if I'm not at, say, close to a race day, I might have a drink. I think that's the only variability I would do. Outside of that, I would like to say that this is my way of life. It's not something that I am doing for a particular cause. If tomorrow I am wherever and whatever I'm doing, I don't think nutrition is going to go away from it, because it's my way of life. It's very simple for me. You tell me what to eat, what supplement to have, how much to eat. Why do I need to break my head over it? Like, I was telling, I wish my cook knew or my help knew to read your chart, give it to him saying, Didi, ye bana dena, bas ho gaya. It's like so much easier. So I just think it is the biggest respite I have in my life.
You said that, you were never an athlete. And now you've conquered one of the most grueling races in the world. I get so many people coming in for transformation diet plan, ye diet plan de do, wo diet plan de do. And then when I see you doing the regimented nutrition, which is scientific, how does this mindset and motivation, because you didn't have it in school or college, am I right? And now suddenly this is mindset and motivation to make it a way of your life. So, first of all, what do you say to yourself in your head, and how do you keep yourself going? Is there a nasha of victory or something that happens with you, and that's why you're always there? You're turning up every morning.
I don't think I'm driven by victory. I'm driven by the process. I love the fact of where I was to where I've come. And that didn't come in one day. It's a 20-year story. Like, I don't know if you've seen my 78 kg picture. I did, I remember. If anybody sees that and this, I know most people who see it for the first time saying, this is a lie. I said, why will I lie? This is me. So I have seen that transformation. The point that people miss out about transformation, it doesn't happen in a day. It has taken me 2 decades. It has taken me a Ryan Fernando. It has taken my running trainer. It has taken my physiotherapist. It's taken this whole team to be where I am. And it will not sustain if I leave any of this. So in digital transformation, because I'm working in tech, people say, right, that it is not like you change one gear and it is all done. It is a holistic development that you have to do. Now, I think that transformation that I have seen is my motivation. And now that I am here, I know that if I leave it, it's going to go back, because it's like elastic. The moment you leave the tension, it's going to go recoil to where I was. It will take me 6 months on the tops to go back to that 78 kgs at max. You know how my body functions, right? I mean, I'm sure you'll agree. How easy is that going to be? Now, I think one way is to look at it that. The second thing is that the way I feel, the way I am, and the wellness in me, which is not just my physical but mental also, comes from this process. I think knowing, it's like that once you've tasted these things, you do everything to keep it. And I think that's what I do. In terms of motivation, I think I seek daily wins. Like when you said the 140K week, for me that was a win. I said, oh, you know what? If I'm able to do this 146K week well, I'm going to treat myself to hot chocolate. Now, I have whatever hot chocolate at my home. But I said, no, I'm going to go to this place and have that hot chocolate. It's like nice and thick and sugary. And I said, because I earned that. So I always keep this whole reward and recognition mechanism for myself. Nobody's going to give me. I don't want it from outside. I want to do it for myself. Saying, 146, if I feel that I have done satisfactorily well to my satisfaction of performing this 146K week, I'm going to go treat myself to this. I think that's a way of motivation. Now, I first said, you know what, I will have an almond croissant. Or then I said, no, I'll have a tiramisu. I eventually, because I wouldn't have any of that, it's gluten and whatever, I eventually said, you know what, hot chocolate, because it's good for recovery. So, I've tweaked those likings in my life. And that's what keeps me motivated to keep going. I think people look at it from a very long perspective, and therefore they lose traction and they do not break it into, I always say this, have the SMART goal concept. Make it measurable. Have smaller goals, short-term goals, win those, move to the mid-term goals. Therefore, you will reach to the long-term goal. It cannot happen in one day. It cannot happen in 1 week. It's an ongoing process. As I say, it's a way of life. I think that's the only way to stay motivated.
A lot of women are going to be inspired about this reward and recognition and how you've started and how you don't need an external affirmation to yourself, but it's your own goals and then you meet it and you get there. And so I think a lot of women are now watching us and getting very enamored. We've done hundreds of blood tests over the last few years, right? And taken a lot of blood out of you, and throw some insight on how important do you think is the blood test being able to change your behavior, your diet plan, your training regime, and should the endurance athlete, see, you've been on the side of the fence as a marathon runner minus professional sports nutrition, and now you're on the side of the fence with a professional sports nutritionist. How do you think the blood tests have helped you from being an endurance athlete?
I'll give you the first example. I don't know if you remember, when I first came in, my cholesterol used to be high. Not because, there were multiple factors, I think, because I didn't know a lot of the nutrition knowledge that I have today working with you, plus some amount of family history. I have a family history of everybody having heart disease and all kinds of stuff. So I think today my cholesterol is pretty much normal. I don't take any medication. So that's the first indication. Now, why I'm telling you this is a comfort that when I see a whole family with heart disease, cholesterol's shooting up, sugar going out of the way, my mom's side, everybody's diabetic. I lost my granny to, losing kidney failure and passed away and things like that. I think what has helped me is to the confidence that, my body is, I am not inviting these diseases into me. It's a way of control. It is a report that whatever I'm doing, it's like a report card. I do 6 months of studying. It's like the semester scheme I had in engineering. 6 months you study, you get a report card, you give your exam, which is the blood test, you get a report card, you say, you know what, all good, okay. A, okay, this one B. Ryan, this is B. What do we do about it? Then we go into a fixing mode saying, okay, maybe let's get into, fixing this or whatever reason it is high. I think over the 4 years, we've reached a stage where everything from B's has also become A. So today when we look at the blood test, I don't think for the longest time we have needed to do any corrections. We've kind of said, yeah, all's good. Now all is good. Can we make it better? I think that has been the focus, which is a big shift from here saying, this is high, so we need to correct and make sure that your cholesterol is low, to today saying that, you know what, can we improve your hemoglobin further, therefore it will enable you to better run. So I think this whole blood test journey that we have done of hundreds of blood tests, from being correcting to health perspective to performance, has been the journey that I think we have had, to put it very, very simply.
So speaking of the health corrective process of the blood test, and then the performance part of the blood test, right? So obviously I could give you an honorarium sports nutrition degree right now with the amount of work that we have done together. So from the supplement point of view, what are your health supplements and what are your performance supplements?
I think from a supplement per se, gone are those days when we started with health supplements, I think, where we said, okay, we need to take your cholesterol under control, we need to take care of your this and that. Today, everything that we are working on is mostly to say, how do we ensure that, your performance is enhancing and your recovery is being taken care. And also considering my age, how am I able to sustain this?
Did you ever have this thought process that, oh my God, Ryan's given me these 22 supplements? I remember there was one race that we went for. There was nearly 22 supplements. Now, people might get shocked out there, but was there that thought in your head like, oh my God, I'm taking so many powders, pills and gels, versus to what is your thought process today?
When I first started, I think the first very month when I saw it, and I was kind of like, I looked at it and I was like, okay. And my question was that, how long will this be sustainable? Honestly, if I say. But today, the way it has helped me to fill in what my food cannot give me probably, or my body's ability to absorb that food, I know what that supplement, how it is benefiting me. So I don't think I ever think today, I think I cannot do the other way around. If I have to sustain what I'm doing, I can go back to 78 kgs. I don't need to do any of this stuff. I'm going to save this money and buy the Louis Vuitton, and I'm definitely not going to come back to this chair again. But I think for me to sustain, and if I want to continue doing it with my age coming up, being a woman, with my cycle fluctuations and all of that, I think it is just only enhancing me, working towards my performance, helping me to deal with, the whole menopause thing, the most dreaded M word in the women's world. I think I'm able to sustain. I only have fewer moments of those darkness in the whole menopause cycle versus probably a lot of people. And I would give it to you for all that we are putting into together. So I think there's no straight answer to what supplement. I think it's a whole combination that comes in. It's not about one multivitamin or one omega or one D3 like most people do, but it's a combination of all these aspects together, saying what I need for my performance, what I need to recover, what I need to deal with my menopause. I think some of those things that you give me are horrendous to have, but I still remember. I'll never forget that Zinzino oil. I was like, oh my God, who has it? I'm like, every time I have it, I'm like, Ryan, what are you making me have? So.
And for those who are hearing this name, this is one of the most highly recognized omega-3s which come in from Iceland. So the Arctic cold fish combined with olive oil ensures that your omega-3 doesn't denature. And these guys don't put it into a capsule because you need to bond it to olive oil. And you can't take like 500 milligrams in a capsule. It's not enough. So we need like 20 capsules. That's 10 grams of the oil in a day. And so I always tell athletes, you have no taste buds, at the end of the day.
I always say this to people. A lot of people, like, I remember I'd gone home recently and somebody asked me, so what do you eat for dinner? And I said, yeah, usually chicken and some kind of salad and whatever. So my dad was sitting next to me and he said, you can't eat what she eats. He just clearly made this blatant statement. You can't eat what she eats. And I said, well, it's tasty. My dad said, well, for you. So the point is that I think the definition of taste is it's an acquired taste. I am the same person who loved this plush chicken curry. And today I just love my boiled chicken with some basic spices into it, literally boiled, or air fried in my newfound love. But it's just that today, as compared to that whatever taste, I know that this is good for me. I feel good eating it, and I think that feel good is far more superior to whatever taste. Like, I have my cheat meal to taste whatever I want to taste, but it is only that moment. Anything else, for most of the time, if it's not good for me, I'd like saying, yeah, you know what, Ryan's going to die thinking this, and I can't have Ryan dying, so don't act this simple. So I think sometimes I do think, I will say this, that sometimes I do think, oh, you know what, I really loved eating this. Now I discovered that there's this whole concept of loved eating. And now in your mind, you've preset, what do you call, emotions or triggers of saying that, oh yeah, I liked having, say, puchka or pani puri on the road. Now that is what I liked. But today when I eat it, do I enjoy it as much? No, I don't. Now, the moment I realize that, then I realize that, my liking is of the past, of what I didn't care after that. I felt acidity or I felt uncomfortable or that I didn't have any awareness. Oh, puchka pani puri khaya. Oh, you know what? All girls having by the roadside, very happy. But today I don't feel like that. So that change has happened over the years. And today it's all about what is good for me. And I mean, I think I love the state of being that I am.
So, you talk about the supplement and then, you hate something and then there's a routine and then you begin to love it. The routine part, I think, is what helps everyone get to a new sense of realization. And speaking of routines, we didn't talk about your marathon running routines. So how does that work for the uninitiated outside, who maybe somebody's like very inspired by you having at one point in your life being 70 plus kgs and now you're one of the fittest women I know. Your skin is glowing. You're very disciplined, and even a boiled chicken seems to appeal to you, and your father says, though, you can't eat what she's eating. This is a new avatar. This is a new you. Many women out there, many athletes out there would be inspired by this. But where do they start? 5K, 10K, 15K, 25K, the full marathon, ultra marathon. What is your training regime? How has it evolved over the years?
I think the first key is to start. You don't need to find a perfect solution to your problem. The problem is that, we kind of want to find the perfect routine on day one and be me in end of 30 days. I think the message that I would like to have everybody have is that, start small. Start with realistic goals for yourself. I didn't set out to become 78 to being this person. I didn't know. I didn't have a vision of this. We didn't have internet at that time to know. I didn't have Ryan Fernando. I didn't know MDS. I didn't even know marathon. It was out of question. I mean, in my time in 2000, the first gym I went to was a little cordoned off place in a men's gym, and we had a separate entry to that place because women were not welcomed in the gym at that time. That's the era that I have begun this journey on. Now, today we have access to everything. I mean, there is this every possible fitness tool that one can think of is available. So I think the first step is to just start small and have a realistic goal for oneself. That, why do you want to start it? The second thing is discipline, resilience, and patience. I think most of us lack there. You want to do 5 days and you feel so great that you go and hell break on day 6, and then day 7 never comes after that. You got to be at it. I've not been keeping well. Yesterday I came down and I was down with the cold. Today morning I got up and I wasn't feeling my best. But my training routine said I had to do the 22K. What I absolutely dislike to do is to tell Jason, okay, yesterday was a bad day. I couldn't do it. I rested. I'm not saying that, you go. But today, between sleeping and going to run, I knew that if I run, I will feel so much better as against trying to just be lazy. It's not that I was anything major happened that I couldn't run. So I think if you bring that discipline into your program, in whatever you are doing, with that a little bit of resilience, because there are going to be bad days. Especially women have a lot of bad days. During your cycles, you're going nuts over it. And a lot of people have They're painful cycles, like, I get bloating like hell. But the point is that even then, all you got to do is to show up for yourself. The moment you do that, then over a period it becomes, the first time is the toughest. The second time you already have the experience. Then third time becomes easier. Fourth time becomes easier. And I think it is just those 3-4 things that we need to kind of keep at it. Most of us fail out because we don't have discipline. Like you remember in the whole concept of timetable, when we were kids, saying, we had a home timetable during holidays, saying, ye itne time se itne baje, ye TV time, ye sport time, everything. So I think we got to just have it there. I have a check mark calendar for myself for the year. I started doing this last year. And I did a blog also about saying that how I scored over the year. And I put
is this blog open to the public?
Yeah, it is open to. It's called My Boro Lane, and it is open to public. To people My Boro Lane. I don't write as frequently as I would love to, but
it expresses who you are.
Yeah, it expresses who I am. So I've written some of these things. So this one was about my scorecard, and it was simple. It has 2 simple tricks. This is a green tick and a red cross. The green tick means that everything went well, like physical wellness, mental wellness, and I felt okay. And I'm not saying great, because okay is good itself. I mean, why is okay not good? That means
why is okay not good? I think that's a nice statement.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that, you know what, things are okay. Well, things are okay. It could be so much worse. You could have had one leg gone, your car would burnt out, or you're thrown out of your job, your parents are healthy.
The glass is always half full.
Correct. For me, okay is great. The days I feel okay is green tick. The days I feel miserable is a red tick. Now, miserable can be that I had a bad run. That is that I couldn't do, I had a bad meditation, or I felt too stressed about something in life, or whatever, is a red cross. And I diligently follow it. I do it every day before I go to sleep. I put on the wall, I go put that tick. Now what it does is to actually monitor myself. Like, already 7 crosses this month. I need to buck up. I need to just focus on why are things happening. Helps me to keep correcting myself. So I just think that people need to just focus on some of those planned strategic moves of taking care of your own life. I recently on a session said that, are you an entrepreneur of your life or of your career? Most people aren't. We just live by accident. Like today I had an option. I could have said, you know what, I have to go to Ryan's podcast and all of that. I'm not feeling well. Let me just sleep in. Let's cancel the run. I mean, okay, I will tell
that would be an X on your calendar, which now you're fighting to not put on your calendar tonight.
Correct. So I think I would love to say that I have a job, but I'm an entrepreneur of my life. I decide and I want to ensure that my life is profitable. So I am really, really conscious about what investment I'm doing.
That is so powerful, Sweta, because, as a health coach, that's so powerful. I see people, and you see the film stars, you see the celebrities, you see what I call you as an elite athlete, hitting your goals. You have that resilience, you have that drive. And most people, after they leave college, they're not accountable anymore because that report card is not there. That tick mark or that X is not voluntary being submitted. And the only exam that you technically answer is your annual appraisal, because you want to get a better scorecard, right? And when a lot of people don't get that scorecard, they're very unhappy that, it was their God-given entitlement that they should get it. But in the basics of their life, forget the job, they're not keeping a checklist. They're not keeping the tick mark and the X. And that's what I tell a lot of people. When was the last time you held yourself accountable? Because it was your school teacher or principal that held you accountable. And I think in most relationships, I think sometimes if one of the spouse or both of the spouses have this tick mark, they hold each other accountable to a certain extent. But I think your body is your true life partner, and therefore you need to hold it accountable.
Absolutely. It's like, most people say, मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ? I'm not saying कि मेरे साथ नहीं होगा. Can be. I mean, I'm a human being. I can have a heart attack, or I can have organ, whatever can happen. I don't know, but I at least know that I am trying very hard in a planned action, working with experts to not have it or delay it. I probably that 78 kgs could have gone 85, and I'm sure I would have had a heart problem by now because it's in my genes. My entire family has heart conditions and cholesterol and triglyceride and fatty liver, diabetes. I am 100% sure I would have had it. By my age, my dad was already diagnosed with a heart condition. So I still don't have it. It's a win for me. Will I not have it 5 years, 10 years down the line? I don't know. But I'm consciously trying not to have it at least. At least make that effort for yourself. 10 years down the line, I will be sitting with you and saying, hey, you know what, Ryan, we did well. We tried. And I think we did well. We delayed it from 45 to 50. Isn't that a win itself? Like, why would one not do it? I don't understand.
Speaking of wins and getting into running every morning, I know you have a win every morning in terms of your pre-marathon meals, sometimes when you go up for a marathon and all. So what is it and how much time prior? Because for the uninitiated out there, they don't know that when you have to start at the starting line, you're turning up sometimes at 4:35 in the morning at that location from your hotel. So walk us through what is it the night before the preparation and your pre-marathon meal?
So
Even the pre-marathon potty.
Oh yes, it's my favorite. So before the marathon, I think the previous night or the day, I usually like to eat really light and clean, very clean. Like, khichdi is my go-to dinner, and eat really early.
Why is that?
I think it's just easy, light to digest, keep the fiber low, avoid any kind of load on the stomach, because like you said, that if you have to show up at 4:30, you're waking up at 2 o'clock, you're kind of exposing your body to, your body is not used to the thing. So as light as you can keep it, focus on hydration. What happens is, see, people do this, you have to eat pasta before marathon. We eat carbs on all our meals. Why do you need pasta? It's not like you eat pasta every day for dinner. What is special today that you're having pasta? Carb loading happened for the countries where their staple diet is very different than ours. Our staple diet...
We are carb loaders.
We are carb loaders. We are eating carbs in idli, dosa, sambar, rice, roti, chapati, paratha. That's what we are eating. So what is this whole pasta? So you see, most people are suddenly going and eating this and binging in that pasta, whatever outlet. I just stick to my khichdi. I drink a lot of water, eat light, give all the supplements that we do. You remember this one time, I think which really worked when my first season of Berlin, when I qualified for Boston, we actually practiced the time duration of Berlin. Like I used to eat at 4 o'clock, get up at some 2 o'clock, try to go to do potty, and then go back and sleep again.
Shweta's revealing all the secrets we train professionally in different time zones.
Yeah, because I think so that whole ensuring that your stomach is clear, you don't have to rush to potty. If you're looking at your time trial or whatever, you don't want to lose 2 minutes going to the loo with the discomfort that you carry. You want to feel good. There's a lot of stress.
Stress in holding your potty and trying to do a marathon, getting up early and trying to get the potty signal. So many of those things.
Yes. So I think a little bit of practice, a little bit of consciousness of what you're eating, not trying to do pasta parties before that, that really helps.
I can't believe it that we have thousands of marathon runners and 99.99% of them never ever do a nutrition plan.
Yeah, because as they think, it's not nutrition, right? So, pata hai. Matlab, arey, bhag raha hu, all's good. Like, kya kharab hai? People think I'm a little bit of a show-off that I work with Ryan Fernando and as if I have a lot of money, I have a tree which like gives me money at the end of the month, which I give to you. But people don't see that. See, it is not just for the sport. It is about me and a combination of me in totality, which is my age, my gender, the stage at where I'm in life, my profession. I cannot afford to do a 2-hour run and feel sleepy in a meeting. I'm sorry, I have to show up sharp. I have to show up as a leader because that's my job. That's what they're paying me for. So how do I ensure that I'm in that state if you're not there in my life? It's as simple. People don't see it like that. What people do is choosing, नहीं हो सकता यार, कैसे करेंगे यार, कैसे कर लेते हो नौकरी के साथ. There's no magic.
But I think also people are very conjuice in terms of their expenditure towards their own body versus they will buy that 40,000 rupee footwear. But when it comes to the knowledge of what to do, when to do and how much to do, that's like I can wing it.
That's the next level. People are willing to pay when they have the disease, but they do not want to get a health checkup or a blood test. You ask anybody for when you did your last health checkup, they will say blood test karaya to hai. You know that I get a regular health checkup done every year, which is like full head to toe, and the blood report biannually. People don't do it. There's a lot of these incidences that you're hearing during these marathons, and I feel really bad that people are spoiling the name of the sport. It's not the sport that's causing people heart disease. It is your lifestyle. It is about being callous about it. It is about that, you started running today and in 3 months you're running a full marathon for somebody who's never done any sport.
No screening being
No
done.
screening done. You don't know if you have a pre-existing condition. You're obese and you're not really doing anything about it.
Speaking of obese, the other day, most of India is obese because the level of BMI is 24.6 or 24.7. And half a dozen of people that come to my clinic, they're all at 26, 27, and they feel they're at normal weight and they start marathon running.
Yep.
And that extra load on your blood, on your heart, and on your knees actually causes you to have a side effect of damaging your body quicker than a lighter version of yourself, a healthier version of yourself.
Yeah. So people don't see it for a gain or a health or a wellness perspective. For them saying, as they say, the running a marathon is a bucket list. And then from there, it is obviously has a lot of other miscellaneous things. You get to travel. It's obviously fun. There's a runner's high. There's all of that. But the sum total, I think that whole point that it is for your health, it is for your well-being, is being erased faster and faster and faster. And therefore, you're seeing all of these cases. And yes, people don't know where to invest. They rather invest in a funky jazzy car, in a house, in buying solitaire, in jewelry, and I don't know what all. But they are not willing to invest on, a good nutritionist or even a good training plan.
Yeah, I see people coming into the gym and trying to work out themselves and their form is so wrong. And I'm just thinking you've turned up in a luxury German vehicle, but you're being so conjuice about paying a trainer 15,000, 20,000 rupees a month just to get your Mercedes-Benz in pristine shape.
Yeah, so this is a whole attitudinal shift that we need to have in this country.
We need to get different awareness.
Yeah.
Yes, marathon is a very hard-hitting sport on the human body. Lots of injuries, we talked about it. You explained a lot of things. People who start running, they don't know that, see, heart attack is one of the serious side effects. So you need to do the screening and everything. But there are smaller slaps that you get from running, marathon running, as the distances, as the mileage go up. You talked about blisters when you did the MDS. But chafing, skin getting abraded. Is that something that every runner will start to face?
See, there are reasons why chafing happens.
Specifically for women also.
Yeah, the most common reason, and women get a lot of chafing around the sports bra cuts. Like I used to wear the chest strap and I stopped wearing it because it's not designed for a women's body. Chafing happens because of particular reasons. Is that, of course, the fat, which, your skin bruising around is one reason. So my recommendation is that you wear something sleeve so you ensure that your skin's not bruising around it. But then the other reason is that, the clothes find fiber with use has fine tears. And then they are the ones who actually cause the abrasion.
So they become, the microscopic fibers start getting pulled out and then now they look like microscopic needles.
Correct, which is rubbing around your skin, especially if you're doing for a long time. So it's my discovery that typically when I go for a race, I try and wear everything new.
But not brand new, right?
Not brand new. Like I've probably worn it once or twice. I do race day training, gear training, which is where I wear the same attire, same shoe, everything, and then I replicate and say, okay, all's feeling well. this is good to go for my race. So we're getting race day training.
I'm smiling because we do the same thing for the nutritional supplements. We never, ever give a client. And I've seen people in marathon runs, there's a stall of a sports nutrition company and they're handing out these smoothies, they're handing out these gels, and people will be like, okay, I'm going to try this in the marathon race. You train your stomach also to run.
I will give you an example of another, someone who runs at the same place I run, and he had the gel for the first time in the New Delhi Marathon. And he had to go to the thrice. And of course,
So for the uninitiated out there, when you take a gel, most gels are polysaccharides. And some of them are based on carrageen, which is a type of seaweed. Or it could be a maltose-based gel. And each one of us have different responses. Like I do know people who will not tolerate algae or polysaccharides or maltose-based gels, and it will just run through your system.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I took it, I had a friend running with, and I was running in Gurgaon, and then I actually had to go to somebody's house because there was no washrooms there. It was like some road.
That was not under my advice, right?
No, it was many years ago.
Many years
ago. Because I'd go, and I knew, my friends who were having it told them, okay, watch out.
Yeah. So my advice to anyone watching in would be that you actually take the gel when you're working at home.
Yeah.
To see gut comfort first.
Correct.
You try any supplement when you're sitting down at home, the loo is just right over there and you can go. And if nothing happens the first time, then you do it on a shorter run.
Yeah.
But coming back to the chaffing and everything, you made a very valid point on trying your race gear running.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, do marathon runners change a lot of set of clothes, equipment, and gear on them?
See, marathon is a fairly...
Like how expensive it is if I were to take up marathon running this year. So I would spend how much on shoes and outfits, and then maybe, let's say, do 3 or 4 marathons in a year and travel in India. What would an average person spend?
Never calculated it, but let's say...
Shoes are how much?
You would need...
At least 3 pairs,
decent shoe, 3 pairs of shoes is what you would need. And see, there is no limit these days. Like people want to buy the most expensive shoe, and then people have the money to get 2 pairs of the same, and then they mix and match colors and do all kind of funky stuff. Oh yes, I know a lot of people who do that. So they buy, say they will buy 2 pairs of the most expensive shoes of 2 different colors.
And they wear them
and they'll wear them opposite, for all the style quotient. I don't do anything. I can barely afford to get just 1 pair for my race.
I'm just thinking your body from inside is thinking, yeah, dude, I'm going to make you run faster because one's blue and one's yellow. Yeah, that's the new supplement.
So of course the shoe is the most important and critical part of it. The next is the attire. I mean, you can start from basic to go to as far as you can go to, and I don't want to name brands out here, but the top end brands and versus that, so there's no limit to it. I think what one would really like to focus on is a good trainer, wherever, whoever, however you would like to choose to, a good physio, and most importantly, a good nutrition, which is, if you put all of this, it is an expensive sport. But what happens is that people they think that you go run, and then you run, and then you run, and then you get injured. And then when you get injured is when you go to physio, when you spend money, and then you struggle and do all of that. I'm of the other opinion that, I have a trainer, I have a professional, I've always had a trainer. I've always had a gym trainer. If I remember from the first time I went till now, I have always had a gym trainer. I don't remember.
Probably, I think if I took all the money that you spend on gym trainer, you'd probably been able to afford a German luxury vehicle by now.
I would have. I probably would have 2 houses in Bangalore if I would have saved all the money that I've spent in this sport. And I've been training with my running coach, Dr. Jason Carr, for 4 years now? Almost same time, a little over 4 years, I think. We started 5 with you. I'm going to start 5. I think I've always been to the gym.
Speaking of the gym, I'm trying to picture you as a workout person because I just see you in the MDS running. So what's your workout style? Do you like working out in the gym?
Oh, I love it. I mean, strength training, it's very funny, okay, that if I'm exhausted and I'm super tired and I drag myself to the gym, and 10 minutes of workout, I'm a new person. You won't believe it. 10 minutes. And I remember that recently, I think I went to the gym. I was very sluggish. I walked in. And that lady looked at me and said, I saw you running. How much did you run? I said, whatever. I don't remember. And then he said, oh, you should be resting. What are you doing here? I said, this is the only way I can rest if I'm here at the gym. You know?
What's your favorite exercise then in the gym?
I think there's no favorite. I just love working out in the gym. I think there is, I can tell you what I don't like. You know,
Okay.
that's very
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
I just don't like lunges. You know, I just
For
like...
a runner, I can...
I just tell you, I get, like my trainer is struggled to get me to doing lunges. I just don't like lunges. Anything else you tell me, I am happy to do it. I mean...
So even the leg press and the deadlift...
Everything. I love working out core and leg press and back and all of that. Only thing I don't like is those lunges. I do, to answer your question on my workout, I do medium weight strength training because I don't want to load my body. I want to just do enough strength training so that I have the strength. The idea is not to break the body.
I remember you at the start of today's podcast, you said that you've been weight training from the beginning. That's how you started your weight loss journey. You have probably 2 decades of weight training experience?
Yes.
What's your advice to the young women of India who are starting their job? Should they enroll in a gym? Should they go for Zumba? Should they go for marathon running? Should they go to the gym? Is going to the gym going to make you get muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger? So what would you tell a young girl walking into the room right now?
You know, the first thing is that thing you said that, you know, you'll get muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just first want to tell everybody that women do not have the hormones to develop muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Hrithik Roshan or Tiger Shroff.
By the way,
so for God's sake, just stop thinking like
have
that.
women kind of poked you? Because, you know, you're an elite runner. You run in shorts. So have people been snidey and said, oh, look at her legs, they're so muscular. Have you ever got that comment? I'm asking this from a perspective because women think that they weight train or they run, they'll get muscular, so they don't do the physical activity. So I want to call out women from that perspective of thinking so that they don't use it as an excuse to not go to the gym and train or run.
I will tell you the other perspective. When I go to the gym, there are so many men who walk up to me and ask me, saying, what do you do for your legs? Okay? So
the men are jealous of your legs.
The men are absolutely like, you know, my calves. So Asics, when I was an Asics athlete, and they would typically do this one particular shot of the shoe with my calf from the back to show the calf. You know, because they thought that I have the best looking calf that whatever Delhi
We
NCR
need to get a picture
has
of your
probably.
calves, okay?
So yes, I do get a lot of compliment for that. And it is a combination of my strength training and my running.
So every young girl in college, going into her engineering degree or whatever degree she's doing, going into her first job, searching for a prospective partner, to having her first kid or delivering her first kid and then doing weight loss, should she weight train?
Every woman, wherever you are, you must and should weight train. Just giving you some context. Our grandparents were doing weightlifting in their day-to-day jobs. Like, you know, lifting water.
My grandmother used to pull water from the well.
What work is that?
Yeah, you know, your lats work out, your arms work out, bicep, tricep, everything.
Okay. Washing clothes. Working your shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, lifting water and carrying it back.
Weighted walks.
Weighted walks, farmers walk is what they did. So women have been doing weight training ever since. It is just that we just lost ourselves in between somewhere and we thought, oh my God, you know what? I'm going to have like Hrithik Roshan's body type. You cannot have it. But look at our grandparents. They were so much more stronger. They were so much more healthier. They had stronger bone infrastructure. Look at our parents' generation, for example. I think they are the most, they have neglected their bodies the most. And you know why my mom goes to the gym? I told her, I said, you get osteoporosis and you keep breaking your things. I live in Gurgaon. You are in Calcutta. There's no way I can show up. I have a full-time job. So you please take care of yourself first. Something happens, I'm there. But it'll only come if you first take care of yourself. It's a clause. So you watch out. That day and this day, she calls me and says, my collagen is over. Can you send me? If I ask her saying, what do you want for your birthday? She'll say, get me something for the gym. Every other day she wants a new shoe.
Is she fashionable in the gym?
Absolutely. All she wants is gym clothes and gym shoes. And, she sees my new shoe and she's like, oh, she's ogling at my shoes all the time. She's like, oh, that shoe color is so nice.
But your mother, in her younger years, did not work out. So this is something that you convinced her to do.
Of course. So the point I'm trying to tell is that our lifestyles have changed. Therefore, we have made this as an activity outside of our day. In older days, it was a combined effort. Like, what is the definition of fitness? Fitness means that you are able to do your day-to-day activity with comfort and with ease. That is what fitness means. Now, people have merged all of these and made one nice khichdi of fitness and health and building muscles and all hormones. So, why, if our grandparents did it, why is it that our lives today don't help. We have a washing machine, a dishwasher, help, Coke, Zomato, Swiggy, whatever. So we are the laziest people in this world. So then you got to just bring in that extra activity into your day just to ensure that you're growing stronger in your physiology and your mental as you go ahead in life. And especially for the younger generation, you have a whole life. And trust you me, it's a ride that you will have of your life, wherever, whoever you are. So, dude, this is the only way to gear up,
You were talking about your mom, who's the older version of you, and now she's ogling your gym clothes and stuff like that. So she's weight training. If you had to go back in a time capsule and meet Sweta, who is 15-year-old, what advice would you give her?
I would actively pursue sport. I'm born from a small town, Durgapur, very conservative, traditional. All my sisters got married when they were 18. Thankfully, my parents thought different. They always wanted me to study. And I also knew that there's the only way for me to get out of this whole setup and do something in my life. I didn't know what to do, but I definitely knew what I didn't want. So that was the only differentiator. I think I would definitely have developed these habits, when I was 15. Like, if you remember, when you saw my gene report, you told me this, that Shweta, if you had come to me 10 years ago, I would have made you a sprinter. You would have been the best sprinter in this country and not a marathon runner. If I knew that I would be able to do, or what it does to me as a person, I would have just only changed that. I think I was not interested because I didn't know. I was like, it didn't give me any kick. Because nobody taught me that it is good for you. Only little bit of playing in the evening. What did we play at that time? Hide and seek and some kind of silly stuff we played. So that's about it.
So you're asking girls of today to upgrade from hide and seek to knowing and getting into the gym, working out, encouraging parents to encourage their daughters to become fitter versions than they are today.
Absolutely. Because it is more important because, as you grow older, your options to do this reduces. So you better develop the habit now. Because the more you grow old, it is so much more difficult to develop these habits, right? We are such slaves to how we have been that if I tell today to bring a change, it's going to be so much more difficult. We need external guidance to inculcate certain habits. So develop those habits in your children today, especially children today. And it's a responsibility of the parents because in the world of digital where everything is happening on a click of a button, one click and you're gone. So you better buck up now.
Speaking of clips, we're coming to the end of our podcast. So we're going to do some rapid fire clicks. Few questions, okay? And quick clicks. 3 things that you'll carry when you go to the gym.
Water, I think a jacket, and my watch.
Top 3 habits that made you a great athlete.
Discipline, patience, and not fearing to spend. Getting an expert team.
Wow.
It's an habit.
Your favorite cheat meal?
Honestly, pizza, which is not gluten-free. But since I refrained from it, I think Thai.
Your biggest inspiration in sports and why that person?
I have a lot of sports people I look up to, and I think Federer, Dhoni, for people who show and tell. I think they have been consistent over years. I especially like Dhoni because I think he's always shown everything that a good athlete should have, which is most importantly a good attitude. Coming from the background that he's come, I think he's been a tremendous sports person.
If not a marathon runner conquering the MDS, one of the most grueling races in the world, in another life, what would you be?
A tennis player.
So still sports.
Still sports. Yeah, I have always admired tennis, and when I was in Bangalore, I actually used to play tennis, and I think I would be a tennis player. Professionally, if you ask me, I'd probably become a professor or a doctor, because I wanted to become both.
You are now the professor of running and the doctor of all the physiology in the human body, because in my opinion, sometimes she looks at my nutrition plans like, I think you forgot to give me L-carnitine because my fat percentage has gone up a little bit too high. And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely right. So Mahasweta Ghosh, it's been a privilege to have you in the same room as me. Thankfully, you're not doing this interview with me walking, because it's a nice long interview. And if we had to do this walking, thank God we covered only 1 centimeter today. Great to have you today on my show.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. It was an honor speaking. I hope the listeners take a message and they make smart investments on themselves.
If you've liked this episode, then please gift me a like, a share, or a subscribe. Or better still, if you comment, I'll come back to you. And don't forget, let's stay tuned for a new learning coming in. But till then, your body is the most expensive real estate. Take care of it.